Moonlight cast a soft, golden hue over the small town of Lan Sak, painting the scene with a deceptive tranquility. Amid the joyful chatter of children excited for their school trip, the air hummed with an almost palpable excitement. The bus, carrying 45 people consisting of 6 teachers and 39 students, stood ready, a seemingly reliable vehicle poised for adventure. They were traveling from Uttarakhand province to Ayutthaya and Nonthaburi provinces, a journey filled with promises of exploration and learning. But behind the cheerful facade of their eager ride, no one could foresee the looming tragedy that would cast a shadow over the town, changing lives forever. On October 1st, 2024, the school bus set off on its journey. It was brimming with students and high hopes. But after about 2 hours on the road, disaster struck. A sudden, devastating fire had broken out. They had reached Vibhavadi Rangsit Road in Kukot, Lamluka district, Pathum Thani province. It's a northern suburb of Bangkok. The fire spread with terrifying speed, engulfing the bus within minutes. The rapid spread and the presence of compressed natural gas tanks, also known as CNG tanks, made it incredibly difficult for passengers to escape in time. The intense heat and thick smoke hindered rescue efforts, eventually leading to the tragic loss of 23 lives. So what caused the fire in the first place? Well, early reports suggested that there was some sort of tire explosion that sparked the fire, but they weren't able to prove that, and upon investigation, it became evident that the compressed natural gas tanks, or the CNG tanks on the bus, had leaked. When the gas came into contact with a source of ignition, the bus was quickly consumed by flames that grew incredibly strong in a short amount of time. The forensics police determined that the gas leak occurred at the front of the bus. However, the engines and fuel tanks were situated throughout the lower sections, causing the fire to spread rapidly. Most of the victims were seated in the rear, making it difficult for them to escape in time as the fire originated and spread from the lower sections, which was powered by natural gas. So here when we say lower sections, what's meant by that is that the engines and fuel tanks are housed below the bus, like on the ground level where the floor of the bus would be. So when it sparked, it quickly consumed the whole ground of the bus, so people standing couldn't walk through the flames to get to the door. The fire was reported around noon, and the firefighters arrived on scene within minutes. And although the rescue operations began almost immediately, it took several hours to fully extinguish the blaze and secure the area. The fierce heat and the presence of CNG tanks made it extremely challenging for rescuers to access the bus and safely evacuate passengers. Tragically, despite their best efforts, 23 lives were lost. So before diving into the charges, let's take a minute to clarify the differences between the roles and the responsibilities of a bus driver versus a bus operator, because this portion had me just a tad confused until I was able to dig into it a bit more. So the bus driver is responsible for operating the vehicle and ensuring the safety of passengers while driving. This includes navigating the route, following traffic laws, and addressing any immediate issues that arise during the trip. So on the flip side, the bus operator, also referred to as the bus company owner or manager, handles the overall maintenance and compliance of the vehicle. This involves ensuring the bus meets safety standards such as proper installation and maintenance of the CNG tanks, and securing necessary permits. On October 2nd, 2024, the driver of the bus, Saman Chanput, turned himself in to the police. Although the initial investigation indicated that Champut was not speeding at the time of the accident, he was charged with reckless driving causing death and injuries, failing to stop to help others, and failing to report the accident. These charges suggest to me that there were factors beyond the gas leak, such as potential lapses in safety protocols and oversight. Given his role as the bus driver, these charges relate to his conduct during the incident. So while the details are limited, I speculate that if speeding was not a factor, but he was charged with negligence in failing to report, he may have exited the bus without assisting others. I mean, this is purely an assumption on my part, so it should be taken just as such. Then, just a couple days later, on October 4th, 2024, the police filed charges against the bus operator, Panisara, for negligence causing death. This charge stems from her failure to exercise the care that a reasonably prudent person would have in a similar situation. The investigation revealed that out of the 11 compressed natural gas tanks installed, 5 of them were done without a permit. Her actions, or lack thereof, I believe potentially could have prevented the accident or at least mitigated its severity. While there still might have been a fire, compliant tanks might have been less aggressive, giving passengers a chance to escape. But again, this is just my speculation and my thoughts. Now let's take a look at the current conditions of the survivors. 19 children and 3 teachers managed to escape the fire, but 16 of them remain in the hospital with severe injuries. Many of them suffered from burns and smoke inhalation, and they are receiving treatment in various hospitals where medical teams are working to stabilize their conditions and provide necessary care to address their injuries. The community has rallied to support the survivors and the families, offering emotional and financial assistance during this difficult time. The incident has raised public concerns about safety standards of school buses and the enforcement of regulations regarding compressed natural gas tanks. And that would wrap up the summary of what I've gathered so far on this case. It really was a tragic one, and I believe it's still an ongoing investigation since the incident happened just a few days ago, just earlier this week. But ultimately, I'd just like to say that my thoughts are with the families affected, and I hope they find some measure of comfort during this incredibly difficult time. Thank you for listening. Bye.